Howdy folks and welcome. I hope this finds you well. Today, I'll be going over the story of Nova Covert Ops, a DLC for Starcraft 2 made in 2016. A whole year later after the tumultuous ending that the epilogue of Legacy of the Void gave us. Legacy's ending was almost so bad that it was hard for me to pay for this DLC. That should say something since I've dedicated thousands of hours into this franchise. Yet I truly appreciate and thank the people who commented on the Legacy of the Void retrospective asking me to cover Covert Ops. I'm thanking them because Nova Covert Ops brings to the forefront why I believe in this franchise still, how the universe can be expanded on an artistic scale and narrowed down on a narrative one, both still working wonders. I also enjoyed the gameplay so much that I can't believe I'm saying this, but Covert Ops has some of the best StarCraft missions I've ever played. From the visuals to the audio, gameplay, and an interesting story that actually works, Covert Ops far exceeded my expectations, and then some. Is this game perfect? Absolutely not. But for $9, I had a blast. Let's see why. Okay, starting out with a wall of text was triggering me from Legacy's pitiful attempt to pull a Fallout-style ending. It does set up the timetable of being a few years after the events of Legacy, that being Raynor is in Light Void Land leaving all his friends to figure out state building. I kid, but I was flabbergasted there wasn't any callback to, damn, I miss Jimmy, I wonder what happened to his body. Regardless, Valerian is trying to hold the Dominion together, but with a lot of trouble. For one, we're told that a splinter faction, the Defenders of Man, have started some sort of rebellion, and that the Dominion have lost contact with their Alpha Ghost team, which includes Nova, our main protagonist for this game. This first scene is so strong, and I instantly thought, well, Starcraft Ghost could absolutely still happen.
Stand and lower your visor for software calibration. Is there a problem with your visor, Agent?
Not only is the technology for Terran amazingly detailed and gives me a strong Ghost in the Shell vibe, there's just so much you could do with it, not just visually but story-wise as well. Already we have intrigue seeing Nova's headset display, "You're in danger," which as a fan of the series you're probably thinking, what the hell could put this badass Ghost in danger? You know she's resourceful.
Cloaking functionality verified. You may decloak. Decloak, Agent. Code 54.
Rogue Agent, send reinforcements immediately.
Where am I?
I won't tell you anything.
1,000 times, yes. You can tell there's a narrative shift. It isn't wildly devoid of the sort of fantasy aspect of the trilogy, but we're going to get a lot more visceral. Stone, another one of the ghosts that were mentioned in the beginning, tells us that our memories have been wiped and that we're in some special facility. Now, I did not know what to expect when playing this game. I knew that we had a main character, Nova, but I didn't think it would play like Commandos, a game I truly loved from back in the day. I'm glad they chose this route. Before even getting a gun, we can tell Nova is more than capable of killing every last person in this facility. If you don't think killing other ghosts with your bare hands, trying to escape a brainwashing facility, doesn't warrant a certified badass, I don't know what will. Maybe a laser sword, but I'm jumping the gun. Speaking of guns, getting our sniper was so satisfying, and again, a ghost game like Splinter Cell with all your cool gadgets and different ways of addressing a level's challenges would sell like hotcakes. Microsoft is sleeping on this. Anyways, we sneak our way through the base and sniping and sneaking our way past guard patrols, turrets, you name it. Not only did I have a nostalgic overload from remembering playing the original game's single levels, what I mean by that is that you're in a facility and it's only like Raynor and his Marines. Those were great levels since it relied on the player's micro to survive. Covert Ops was the next step in that design, plus the unique visuals around the lab, and then this death race to bring our ghost friends to safety. We get so much in our first foray into the universe again. Nova and Pierce have a little dialogue about why they're in this predicament, and both figure out that their last mission went foobar. I'm guessing they're right. I also want to point out the animations that we'll be seeing throughout the game. I mean, folks, this is some top level stuff here, and it released almost 9 years ago. Some of the gore and dismemberment blew my mind, and wait until we get to the frickin' power sword. Okay, I might be hyping it up too much. No, that's not fair. The laser sword is badass. The fact remains, the development team put a lot of hard work into this iteration, and it pays dividends. It grabs the player's attention, makes Nova even more badass, and makes me want to fiddle around with all her gadgets. I mean, if Kerrigan's chain lightning literally burnt people in place or exploded them, which to a lesser extent it does, I would have been more behind her and the others' power level spikes, since it might have felt more grounded, I guess. Obviously, Avatar Kerrigan is not grounded in this universe, but Nova 1000% is, plus all the objects around her. For example, finding vultures to escape is the perfect vehicle tie-in. Not only do we get to see the vultures truly as a transportation method, which are highly likely to blow up radioactively, cough cough, but that's just the normal thing for them to commandeer. It just adds to the world building tenfold. Even more world building is that the ghosts recognize the city they're in, which is held by the Dominion. Well, sign me up for intrigue and deceit, spies and operations, the whole 9 yards. We get to our escape sequence, and even though it wasn't extraordinary, I truly enjoyed the dev team trying something new. You'll be avoiding the Defender of Man's vultures attacking you with this great backdrop of the Terran city. In a way, it reminded me a little bit of Akira and the motorcycle chase scene. You're witnessing through gameplay the sheer scope of the city, and I like the progression we've had already of starting out in a room, escaping through the facility, and now tearing through 6 PM traffic. Plus the little detail of some cars holding Vespian gas, delivering it to the starport is a neat touch. We fight a Warhawk, which I think is a unique battleship, or at least I don't remember if we faced it before. Again, it's nothing revolutionary for a boss fight, but it fits well into the narrative, gameplay, and visuals, so I'm into it. For some reason, Stone doesn't have the 1 minute to tell Nova what has happened, and even worse, doesn't come on the free ship, but I guess we wouldn't have a Memento type story without this.
We made it. You go on ahead, Nova. I'll catch the next one.
Not until you give me some answers.
Do you want to know what happened or get out of here in one piece? Just go.
Fine.
Come in. Any Dominion vessels in range. This is Agent X41822N, requesting emergency retrieval. Please respond.
Request acknowledged. Do not exit your ship until an escort arrives. Surrender your weapons and await further instructions.
Oh wow. Battle cruisers warping in makes my spine shiver. They really put the time into these, what I believe to be in-game cinematics. Someone tell me if I'm wrong, but they don't look exactly like the CGI intros. Regardless, they are awesome, and I hope we get some answers. Yes to Horner. I was livid at Legacy of the Void for putting Horner and Valerian's story arcs into a minute-long news piece and a picture blurb. To know Horner for these last years has been acting Admiral is great and brought me more into the story.
What's the last thing you remember?
I escaped from a base I didn't recognize. Not Dominion. What was that place? Why was I there?
Nova, you've been MIA. You and several other ghosts haven't reported in for months.
So I wasn't on a mission. And this isn't a debriefing.
No, it's not. We have evidence that links you to a terrorist group known as the Defenders of Man. You're wanted for treason against the Terran Dominion.
Treason? I've always been loyal to the Dominion. You know that.
It's not my call. Valerian will have a lot of questions for you when he arrives.
Admiral Horner, Zerg forces are heading for our location.
All hands to battle stations.
We rudely get interrupted by Zerg forces, which I was interested about since I know Zagara, Kerrigan's second in command and now Queen of the Swarm, or the Reform Swarm, had taken back Char, but for her to attack Dominion positions must have taken some catalyst. Another point for hijinks and intrigue. Another props to the visuals in the game, even though I was kind of sad we didn't get the 2D adventure click games menu of the trilogy. Having Agent X41 appear with that logo before each mission, then having this, what I would call a command and conquer mission brief, was exceptional and laid out the levels so well. We also get this feeling that each mission will be unique. Yes, there are missions where you need to build your base, but usually they aren't the main focus, and I would love to hear what other people thought about the unit choices for each mission, since not having medics for ground troops or not having Vikings for air superiority threw me off. At least for the beginning. It made me play this game differently than the original trilogy, and we'll get to the upgrade system in a little bit, which greatly improved the diversity within the units and your choices for said units. I mean, I don't think I ever used Raven's healer robot until this run through. But, oh man, did it come in handy. Bio and mech heals? Sign me up. The first mission has you defending different lanes from oncoming Zerg forces trying to destroy Horner's base. Immediately having Reapers with spider mines got me giddy. I loved that the Terran ingenuity was starting to show itself. I also loved how Nova was equipped with the Reaper jetpack. Again, we'll get into her equipment later once we've unlocked a bunch of stuff, but I do want to say, if you're listening, Bill Gates from Microsoft, this is a winning formula. Player choice, fun gameplay, progression systems, do with that what you will. I noticed in every mission during my time playing Covert Ops that there was no easy way to mass units and defend. It really tested your APM skills since some of the Zerg units can just AoE above them, killing off all your Reapers, and oh boy, that does not bode well for your resources that you have at your disposal. Even with Nova being powerful, you will always need to be careful. Quickly about upgrading Nova, it's also a great addition to make her pick up the equipment in-game rather than doing the whole Solarite shtick from Legacy. It made the action feel more tangible and obviously made me explore levels a lot more. I also enjoyed the new Zerg units, or at least, again, I don't think I've ever seen Ravagers, but I think it plays into the Zerg always evolving theme, so I won't question it. We repel the Zerg forces in anticipation of Dominion fleet support, but unfortunately, it doesn't play out like that.
Base is under attack.
Admiral Horner, Terran battlecruisers are warping in above the Zerg's position, but they aren't the Emperor's.
What? I don't like the look of this.
They're sending out a broadcast, patching it through.
The Zerg have always been a threat. And today, the Emperor's forces have proved that they are too weak to protect the people of Moria. But the defenders of man are here for you. We will do all we can to safeguard your future.
Admiral, they're contacting us directly.
Let's hear it.
This world is under our protection. Surrender the ghost and evacuate, or face the consequences.
Like hell we will. Nova, get your forces back here. They can't stop us from leaving while they're still fighting the Zerg. We'll have to meet the Emperor elsewhere.
I really enjoyed how they set up the political debacle Valerian and team find themselves in. It's a couple of years into his tenure, he doesn't want to be his father killing off droves of innocent civilians for control, yet when you rule a whole system, there will always be fringe groups wrestling for control. I mean, we get to see the Sons of Korhal literally overthrow the Confederacy, for them to be overthrown by Raynor to them trying to be overthrown by the Defenders of Man. It seems convoluted, but this is why I respect Valerian's character trying to stop the vendetta of vengeance and usurpation. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I am not the man my father was. I wish to serve a greater good. I think we have that much in common. This ship is at your disposal, along with my Covert Ops crew. You will lead them. All I ask in return is your loyalty.
You have it.
I did scoff at the fact that Valerian is way too trusting of Nova at first, but we only have 9 missions and she honestly is the top Dominion ghost, so without her, he's kind of foobarred. Also, she probably would have just killed him outright if she wanted to. We get introduced to Rigel.
This device sends an electric pulse through your neural inhibitor. The process is unpleasant, but it can restore recent memories.
I'll be fine.
One of the better characters in the universe in terms of his demeanor and cybernetics. I mean, he gives the adjunct a run for his AI money.
It's not working. I just keep seeing the city where I grew up. But it's destroyed. Covered in creep. I shouldn't remember it that way. I never went back after the Zerg attacked.
Or perhaps you did.
Why would the Defenders of Man operate out of Tarsonis?
A good question. Go there and find out.
Okay, another win for world building in this universe. Tarsonis from our previous reports was glassed over by nukes during the original games, and hearing that it was Nova's home planet kind of makes me sad for her, even if she probably was taken at a young age for the Ghost program. Anyways, going back to these infamous places with a new lens was quite striking, and made me a little teary-eyed knowing that this was the last foray into these amazing worlds, at least for now. Tarsonis is a great world for this mission. Not only do we have these feral Zerg forces inhabiting the city, but the Defenders of Man have secretly constructed a base within the derelict buildings, which I cannot stress enough is probably the best place they could have found for a secret base. Ain't no sane person going back to Tarsonis City. But before we get into the level, we get our equipment screen. This was pretty awesome, being able to customize Nova to the character you wanted to play. Even better is that each mission has the gameplay choices for almost every available choice the player can make with the equipment. You want a jetpack and close range shotgun? Awesome, we'll open routes for you to find and flank the enemy. Want to play stealth commandos with the laser sword? Go for it. These weren't choices that got flung at you, they were made by you. It was up to the player to utilize the skills at their disposal, something I wish more games did. We also get the unit upgrade system, which you outfit different Terran units with what I call special abilities, even though some aren't actions, just passives like the increased range. It really made me think what an MMO could be in the Starcraft universe, or at least an RPG. So the first part of the level is setting up defenses so that Nova will have enough time to infiltrate the Defender of Man's base. I love the visuals of clashing with the feral Zerg around the city. It felt like we were absolutely outnumbered, but had the advantage on the Zerg not having seen humans since the fall of the city itself. Plus, we had a nuke or two in our hands, which is always fun to deploy. I mentioned earlier that I enjoyed Rigel as a character, yet it is hard to show off that without just playing the game. There was something calming about his voice actor, yet determined to do weird science. It just worked for me. We'll finally set up our defensive positions, and I mean finally because that took 17 minutes and a lot of dead Marines.
What the hell are they up to here? Wait, I recognize that.
Again, the visuals are just amazing. Not only do we have Nova one-shotting these 3 defenders, but the way she drops into the room and then uses the power sword, holy god.
Execute.
My scans indicate that there's a communications hub ahead.
I'll check it out. Acknowledged.
Run! I'll fight the intruder!
And this is what I meant by a bit more visceral. Not only are the regular Marines' bodies getting absolutely eviscerated, but do you see that Marauder? That guy's body gets chucked up into 5 different pieces, and I would be lying to you if I didn't say I was enamored by it so much. I literally took the time to find all Marauders on the map with the power sword and chop them up. I also love this little detail if you kill the scientist watching the overlords just chilling from this window. Nova has this line about it being a dangerous habit. So the Defenders of Man seem to be a lot more organized than what we got to see with the Sons of Korhal. And after overhearing the communique, they're starting to evacuate, which is never a good sign for us.
We have a security breach. All personnel should evacuate immediately so we can scrub the facility. I think this might be an extreme measure. No, I understand. This is bigger than we are. I will finalize the preparations.
En route. The emitter's activated. Go, go, go! A psi emitter? How did they get a hold of one of those?
You don't have long to find out. It's drawing Zerg into the facility.
En route.
Hold that sector until they're done. I'll give the order when it's time.
Acknowledged.
Oh hell, that's a great visual of the building falling, but also such a good gameplay bit since they don't tell you, use the Zerg to fight the humans, but you can, and that's frickin' awesome. We catch up to the weird scientist and...
The plan hasn't changed. All teams ready for deployment. Stand by.
Operation Live.
Some will die so others can live.
No!
Target world identified. Calculating anticipated casualties.
Rigel, I've got intel. Yes. The Defenders of Man are staging a Zerg attack on a civilian world.
But why?
They're trying to discredit Emperor Valerian. Enough Zerg attacks, and he'll look weak. Thousands will die, Rigel.
Nova, that's not just thousands, that's hundreds of thousands, but whatever, so she's not good at math. The Defenders of Man are literally pulling a page from Mengsk's notebook, sending Zerg on human cities using the psi emitter. I wonder where they learned that from. Anyways, we get another brief about the missions we just played, and I'm assuming this happens because the missions were split on release. Anyways, that's not a great thing that a fringe terrorist group has psi emitters at their disposal. Whatever infrastructure that was needed to make that possible as well, they could do. Eek.
Operation Live.
Come on. Almost there.
I kind of love this cutscene. Just seeing this lonely pilot having to deploy the psi emitters onto the unsuspecting world was really moving for me for some reason. Maybe it's the fact that all these choices need individuals to agree with them. Not only is this pilot shitting her flight suit since there are 3 Leviathans behind her, also she has to get out of the system since, you know, Zerg don't stop at one planet, right?
What's the situation out there, Rigel?
Reports are coming in from major population centers. They detail extensive damage and high casualties. It seems all evacuation efforts were unsuccessful.
How many Zerg are there?
Enough to vastly outnumber our forces, including all of the Dominion personnel on the world below. We are too late, Nova.
Damn it!
However, the Defenders of Man fleet is inbound. They have announced their intention to protect civilians.
So they want to look like heroes to these people. They're not. But we are.
Okay there, Nova. I know you got the pardon from the big man and got a sweet stealth ship, but I don't think you're anywhere close to being a hero. Like, you were murdering people left and right as a Dominion super assassin. Then you infiltrate Valerian's scientific facility, killing even more scientists just to arrest Jimmy. Let's be real here, girl. I'm on your side, but don't let this get to your head. So even though we were told we can't do anything about the situation, Nova still wants to go, and Rigel has some new units for our usage, the Goliath and Banshee. We also get my favorite gadget, the Stim Infusion, which makes sword-wielding Nova literally my favorite playable hero in the game, apart from Alarak. Another check plus for the world building, showing us random worlds that absolutely have a ton of life on them. This is a resort world, and it made me go, huh, that's kind of cool that those exist. And it made a great backdrop for a Zerg invasion. Horhall, Torsonus, hell, even Marasara all had the same sort of vibe. I guess Marasara being more of a farming frontier world than a built-up city like on other planets, but this was the first time I really felt like we were on a different Terran world. Granted, Trikuris, Char, Endion all felt like their own alien worlds, but this was the first time I really felt like the Terrans had something different to show off. Anyways, after my rant about resorts and sci-fi games, we only have 3 minutes to clear out what we can of the Zerg hatcheries. Now, I played these missions on normal, which gave me the right balance of difficult micro and not pulling my hair out. I also didn't meta the equipment for each mission for Nova, since stim-infused Blade Reaper was too much fun to throw away. By the hair on our chinny chin chin, we get all the hatcheries, which I assume helps in the next part. But wait, that's intro music, but not for the Zerg.
There's some unusual activity with the warp signatures. Nova, it isn't the Zerg.
What's happening?
The Tal'Darim Death Fleet is invading this world.
I am Janara, first ascendant of the Tal'Darim. Our High Lord has charged me with the eradication of the defenders of man. Do not interfere.
Oh, hell yes, I was not expecting to see the Tal'Darim in this. Not only do I love this showcase of the Tal'Darim Armada, but this music is pretty awesome too. Also, this map had me feeling nostalgic once again, not where we were, but how it was designed. It made me feel like it was an old Age of Empires map or Command & Conquer. Starcraft has always had great visuals within the level designs, but this was really the first time I thought, wow, there's an actual population across the lake that needs defending. I guess for this example, you look at Final Hour from the original Starcraft, you understand it's a mission to stop the Zerg until everyone can be evacuated, but you don't see the population, probably because the game was made in 1998. But even in this trilogy, there were times where maps just didn't feel lived in. I liked that they partitioned a portion of the map for the visual and nothing else. It might have been different, I guess, if the Zerg were still around for this level. I assume they attack civilians, but I really like this larger map with more than just attack locations, if you get my drift. We blast through Tal'Darim shield projectors, causing Alarak's second in command some anger. Yeah, you're nothing like Alarak, my OG High Lord. Anyways, the Tal'Darim send in their mothership after the protectors fall, and I love that they add not only carrier ships to it, but warp and lasers as well. It's a great nod to the motherships being underpowered, and now they can do those things, which makes them cool. Going back to the whole handling an empire is a hard ordeal, Rigel tells us that the Defenders of Man will take credit for saving the resort's population and facing against the Tal'Darim, which, come on, we don't have our own publicist, let's be real here. We have to combat the news by sharing the news, don't we? I bet Nova's visor is better than a GoPro, but I digress.
Tensions run high in the wake of the battle. It is unclear whether the Protoss meant to eliminate the Zerg, or us as well. We've reached out to General Davis of the Dominion's Armed Forces for comment. General?
This is a terrible tragedy, Kate. My heart goes out to all its victims.
Does General Davis give anyone the vibe of a human priest from WoW, but like 60 years older? Is that just me?
Nova, we have a guest. May I introduce Alarak, High Lord of the Tal'Darim.
Oh, hello. That's a great shot of both of them having to look up at Alarak, showcasing how freaking tall he is.
What do you want?
The same as you. To annihilate the defenders of man. They destroyed a remote Tal'Darim outpost and then scurried away before the Death Fleet could retaliate. Such brazen disrespect demands retribution.
Alarak hasn't changed in these last couple of years. I love that line as he is scratching up their screens.
If I knew where they were hiding, I'd already be there. But I can't remember anything.
So you were once one of them. Well, you may be more useful than I anticipated. I suppose you've already attempted to restore your memories. Terran minds are so malleable. What you require is Terrazine.
Terrazine? I don't even have access to it.
I was interested in Nova's reaction to Alarak saying she needs Terrazine. It wasn't like, oh shit, that makes you fucking crazy. Look at Tasha's ghost. But she says she doesn't have access to it. My friends, you're literally in an Emperor covert stealth ship. I'm sure the Dominion has Terrazine in some odd facility somewhere along the way. I also love that for how power domineering Alarak has been, he always has this propensity to strike deals or bargains. I don't know if it's more the story narrative, which I'm assuming it is, since how else would you get them to work together, but anyways. Our next mission brings us to this Forgotten Umojan Protectorate research facility, which I absolutely love getting these guys in the game. There is a lot of lore from the original Starcraft and Brood War that many fans don't know about, and seriously, it's worth the time to learn it. For now, we're tasked with grabbing the Terrazine, not without some competition.
It appears that his forces have already established a position nearby. Their movements indicate that they'll be competing with you for control of the Terrazine on this world.
Why would they do that?
Perhaps Alarak intends for you to cull his weakest warriors. The Tal'Darim prize strength above all else.
I actually like that Alarak's replacement is bad, and goes to show how cool Alarak is. Okay, I do have to say, I was paid by the Tal'Darim Death Fleet for that line. Please don't annihilate my world. We also get the Terrazine from these space animals that had me thinking we were in No Man's Sky. Rigel has a cool line about how the Umojans were using them as biomechanical extractors, meaning that these poor animals were consuming the Terrazine faster than what Terrans could do, and then we were probably whaling them right after their capacity stopped. This is the type of stuff that literally you can make a full game in. Are you a reporter on this world that knows shady practices are happening? Go investigate. Wow, there happens to be a Zerg invasion at the same time. Thus starts an investigation survival horror game with implications for the industries within the universe. Set it in third person and give us some dank forgotten facilities teeming with ex-scientists and creepy Zerglings. Microsoft! These missions is almost a carbon copy of the one from Wings of Liberty, which I don't know if they intentionally did, both having to do with Terrazine, so I have no idea. We're racing against the Tal'Darim in order to see who can extract the most Terrazine, and if I have to say the word Terrazine more than 5 more times, I might have a conniption. This was a difficult level for me, not only having to deal with the Tal'Darim attacking our base and positions on the map, but the Zerg forces were insane. As I said in the beginning, I love that these missions made you play with new units, or at least play a different style than what I was used to in the trilogy. I mean, Ravens are so good in this mission and beyond, they might be my favorite flyer unit because of their utilities. And this mission had something that felt really unique to StarCraft, and it was entering a sub-area from the main mission. It's at the end that Rigel informs us of some equipment piece that's in this cave. We can actually go into the cave and a science facility to have 2 boss fights, which on the surface might seem normal, but for myself I was really enamored by that change of pace. It felt rewarding to go out of my way for a neat little bonus that up until this game didn't evoke that feeling for me. Yes, upgrades were awesome, but finding Defiler corpses scattered around the map or hearing Karax talk about Solarite weren't the best catalyst for exploration. Well, that's not foreboding.
Nova, it appears that despite my doubts, you have emerged the victor. The Terrazine you have gathered will lead you to the defenders of man, provided it does not destroy your primitive consciousness.
That's reassuring. How should I contact you once I know where they are?
When the time comes, I will know.
But I can't take action against the defenders of man until we know who is leading them.
I agree. And that's why I have this.
Terrazine? You've seen what it does to people, the hallucinations, insanity.
And yet, there is nothing more effective for memory restoration.
He's right. It's the only option we have.
Do what you have to do.
The protests are intensifying. You need to evacuate immediately.
So be it. I will not have violence outside the palace.
Again, this is why I'm a fan of Valerian. He walks the walk while talking the talk. No civilians injured. Good on him. We'll see if he can keep that up. For now, we hit the Terrazine hard and try to regain some of Nova's memories.
No psychotic episodes. You've convinced me. Let's get started.
Try to remember everything you see.
Medical scans complete. Well done, Nova. You're ready for this.
Thanks. The Defenders of Man have already done so much for the Dominion. I'm glad I was sent here to help out.
The Admiral wasn't lying when he said we'd be working with the best soldiers under his command. Your visor should have the latest briefing.
Oh, I've been meaning to tell you. It's been acting up lately.
So, the lines from the scientist confuse me. He exclaims to Nova that the Admiral told him that they would be getting their best troops, so does Horner know about the Defenders of Man? Also, Nova willingly worked for them? Why? I guess we'll see. We do get the information that Nova was sent to Antigua Prime, and that's where the next breadcrumb leads. I enjoyed this mission a lot because something I talked about within the main trilogy, how the level designs expanded maps throughout the mission, always kept the player on their toes. At first, this map size is the size of my hand, but as the memories start to resurface thanks to a tangible sensory memory care and a fuck ton of space LSD, the map expands to the city it was designated for. It's a good touch because it blends the visualization with the gameplay, not just giving you a huge map and going, oh, these are the areas of interest, bye. It helps the narrative's pacing as well, which is always needed in RTS games. Our first flashback has us within the city before a Zerg invasion, +5 for the world building. I did zoom in on the statue later, it's not Jimmy, but I like how they have monuments for the common marine, makes sense. I also liked how you could see the shops and the people's lives right before it gets creeped on. The scientist now deemed Wrangler tells us that the city is destined for Zerg invasion, but we need to discreetly place anti-Zerg equipment to incapacitate them if they do invade. I guess Nova believes she's working for an outfit of the Dominion, but wouldn't you feel a little bit wary after all those missions you've done, having to stealth in your own city? Anyways, she does start to question the validity of their mission on the second flashback, and in the third we learn that we're the baddies.
I'm running out of chances. I need to find that evidence.
If the Defenders are lying to us about working with the Dominion, then they must have someone on the inside.
We can't be sure of anything yet. I'll try to override the equipment security codes after I activate it. I think it's a psi emitter, just like the Confederacy used years ago.
We have to escape, Nova. I didn't clear the operations center. Our mission files are still there. We can use them to show the Dominion the truth.
Damn it. The emitter's activating.
I thought we understood one another, agents. You disappoint me.
So we have our mission intel briefing, or whatever they want us to call it, in the building somewhere in the city. As much as I've experienced the breadcrumb amnesia trope after 30 plus years of gaming and media, I found this one to be a cool twist on it.
I'm going to use the rest of that Terrazine now.
Move!
There's no need for this, Nova. What you did was necessary. All of it.
You bastard.
The General is on her way.
She saw too much. I don't know how we can restore her cooperation. Unless...
I see. Wipe her memories. We'll begin re-education.
Ah, so it was her that made the message from the beginning. Smart writing. What I was confused about was the human priest general being behind all of this. So let me get it straight. Nova was recruited for some secret division within the Dominion military, hence why General Davis was there. Thinking Nova was defending Terran worlds, in reality, for some reason unknown to us now, she was actually setting up side devices in an act of terror to destabilize the Dominion? Do Terrans ever learn that mass murder is wrong? Christ, guys, something how you treat your neighbor. We get a continuation of Valerian's political demise, the news reporting that he had to flee Korhal, which, if you've ever studied a fall of a regime, the president leaving for another planet is never a good sign.
Is leading them.
Davis. She's always been loyal to my family.
Your family, not you. As long as she's out there, more civilians will die. I can't let her live.
No. People are calling for me to step down, and I will not see her become a martyr. I need to handle this the right way.
And if more people die while we wait, that's nothing to you?
Of course not. Despite what you've been through, this isn't your decision, Nova. Much is at stake. I have a plan, and I trust you will follow your part in it.
Another win for Valerian trying to stop the cycle of violence. It's very smart of him to think about the ramifications of Davis's death, especially with him in exile, and without evidence. It wouldn't even be a retribution killing, it would just be him murdering military leaders, which does not help his political cause in the slightest.
General Carolina Davis, this is Valerian Mengsk. I wish to step down as Emperor of the Dominion.
Nova seems increasingly frustrated by the whole collect intel and stealth portion of her job, and it has it in her head that killing Davis will save civilians, whatever that means. I press X to doubt. So if you didn't understand what just transpired, or I did a bad job at explaining it, the game just gives you a very direct blurb about it. Oh, so they were stupping, I guess.
Psi emitters have been augmented by technology recovered from the Mobius Foundation. If discovered, it will trace back to Valerian Mengsk.
That's an interesting line about how the psi emitters can be linked back to Mobius. I wasn't sure if she was angry that now she couldn't use that as another shot in the back to Valerian's government or what, but she seemed pissed.
The Emperor has arrived, General. He wants to make his announcement soon.
Does he? We'll be watching closely. If anything goes wrong, your orders are to kill that boy.
Our mission, if we chose to accept it, is infiltrate the Davis compound, arrest Davis, and bring her to the speech location so that we can show the people her traitorous actions. And at this point, I just feel bad for the Dominion populace. Like, you guys need representational government per planet, and this isn't it. But before we can get even to the compound, we have to go through the sewer system. It's not horrible since we get our plasma rifle that melts the enemy in our psionic control, which put that on a Thor, ugh, you got yourself a human stew. So after exiting the sewers, we get placed in the Davis compound, and oh boy, let me tell you, this would be one cool Splinter Cell Ghost mission, or however you want to call it. It's already an amazing mission on its own, but I'd love to see this in third person too, like a Metal Gear Phantom Pain, but Starcraft. Anyways, this was probably my favorite mission out of the bunch for the sheer amount of paths that you could take, and how they have places scattered around the map for you to resupply, meaning you could change your loadout on a whim, making these situations even more rewarding. You're not locked into it for the full mission, and they did a wonderful job introducing the player to the mechanics throughout the previous levels. This is just a huge win on the gameplay side of things that I was astonished. Kudos dev team. One of my favorite visuals was the ship hangar, since you get to see spaceships that aren't militarized, and they're pretty sweet. Also, you can blow up a battlecruiser, which gave me great satisfaction. The one thing I did think of was these levels of engagement from Davis's forces. Like, you should have only gotten like 4 times to trip the alarm until they added more units or something. Now, I don't know if they do this for the harder difficulties, but it would have been a neat touch, especially after all the talk about going stealthy and she's on the lookout. Like, how does Section 3 with cameras seeing all the blood spattered on the walls and bodies strewn around not hit the mega alert button? Regardless, going through this level felt special, and I had such a fun time interchanging my loadout for what I felt like was a necessary equipment change.
I knew I'd see you again.
Stone, what happened?
You deserted me and sided with the Dominion to murder your former comrades. Guess I'm next.
They've altered your memories. This isn't you.
We are who we choose to be. And you chose this.
Damn it. I'm going to have to get him out of the way.
As much as the stone fight was interesting, I couldn't help but laugh at the full Menk statue in the room. There was definitely something about them. But it ain't cheating since Menk's wife got assassinated by none other than Kerrigan. Yep, the more lore you know, the better the small details get. I really enjoyed that you could incapacitate Stone rather than killing him. Now, I don't know if that's because I mind controlled him at the end. If someone could answer if you can outright kill him, that would be pretty sweet. Thank you.
He's down. Rigel, you have to send someone to help him.
Of course. For now, you should focus on Davis.
Executing. Davis, the Emperor has requested your presence. And if I refuse, you won't.
And I often relied on others to support me. As General Davis did, when the Defenders of Man began spreading disinformation about my response to the Zerg attacks. I take these allegations seriously. My administration has completed a thorough investigation of the Defenders of Man. The truth is, they used psi emitters to incite the Pharaoh Zerg to attack.
Damn good on Valerian for just giving out the info to everyone.
As well. Our evidence is undeniable. The orders we recovered were issued by none other than General Carolina Davis. She is hereby under arrest and charged with treason against the Terran Dominion. I look forward to announcing the trial date shortly.
Oh Jesus, Alarak.
Get everyone out.
Oh, the Defenders of Man. So this is your little base of operations. The Tal'Darim will wipe you from the face of this world.
Holy shit, Alarak, bro, what? I was not expecting the Tal'Darim just to light up the crowd. That's wild. So we get our mission briefing to hold out against the Tal'Darim, in which we get this line that some of the Defenders of Man have come back to the Dominion claiming they thought they were in some sort of secret subdivision that's main goal was to, checks notes, overthrow their own leader. Alright, regardless, we have our marching orders and get a great holdout mission. I was a little deflated by Legacy's holdout missions, especially having to charge the Xel'Naga artifact for a third goddamn time. Luckily, this holdout mission was good, not just for the setting being in the city, but we actually have to hold strategic roads like it was Brothers in Arms. Not only that, but we have Gorgon battle cruisers, literal behemoths of engineering that can clear the lanes for us. Everything was coming together. It felt great, both on the gameplay aspect and the story narrative.
There were losses on our side as well. Recall our ships, Horner. We need to get back to Korhal.
One of the ships isn't responding. The Medusa. They had Davis in custody there.
My scans show the Medusa has already left orbit.
Then she escaped. Return to your ship, Nova. We have much to discuss.
I do not take kindly to betrayal, Terran. You've made a powerful enemy today.
So have you.
Have I now? Your hubris is quite entertaining.
Don't come back.
Nova. The Tal'Darim are warping out, but the damage is done. Now it will be even harder to convince the people that aliens are not a threat.
That's why the Defenders of Man attacked the Protoss in the first place. Davis will go to any length to gain public support, no matter how many innocent lives it costs.
Those were my father's tactics. Davis will answer for this, Nova. Track her down and bring her in to stand trial for her crimes.
Bring her in? We've tried that. It didn't work.
This is a great argument because both are right in their own minds. Nova understands that a person like Davis will not stop trying to usurp power, and the extent of horror and death that comes along with that. Valerian understands that as well, but also understands that setting the trial and having it public would be the only way of getting past this mutiny, if we can even call it that. It's a light term for Davis's actions, I grant you. But where would Valerian be if he just used the same playbook as his father? Probably with the ashes scattered on the palace exterior like old Pop Pop. We have the beauty of watching this unfold, devoid of the actual ramifications of political demise, so I'm bringing my popcorn. Where did Davis go, you ask? Well, we've gotten a report of hybrid ships blowing up Dominion battlecruisers, so I guess that's our lead. Obviously, there are narrative hiccups, but knowing that this was the last Starcraft media that actually felt good to play and listen to, I was going in with a glass half full mentality. I enjoyed this level, but the one line, "It's the ghost that escaped," pissed me off. Like, give some credence to Nova's name. Hell, she even worked for you guys before seeing that you were evil. This was another tough mission, since you have to advance on enemy positions, but also have enough troops to defend your base in the battlecruisers being created. Something that I felt more and more as we progressed from Wings of Liberty to now is the dev team throwing more at the player. It's a great gameplay mechanic and made me feel like a better commander because I was dealing with a good enemy. Rewarding is one of the ways to put it, but I feel like I've repeated that a lot, so I'll reframe it with a personal progression that I felt accomplished doing something. I think every gamer looks for that accomplishment. Fighting the Xanthos was difficult, and the Liberator, the wannabe Viking, didn't really do anything. However, with some major pushes with the huge casualties and my stim-infused Nova Reaper build, we finally made it to the docking station and killed off this beast of Terran engineering.
Status.
It is done. Preliminary scans show some injuries among the crew, but Davis is still alive. However, the communications channels are chaotic. She hasn't spoken since the crash.
Just send me her last known coordinates. I'll find her myself.
Somehow Davis survives the crash, but that won't save her from Nova, which, okay, I don't believe in what Davis has to say, but that doesn't mean Nova should act against her Emperor's orders because she thinks it's the better move.
Same circles back then. The same side. The past doesn't matter. I have made mistakes, and I will pay for them. I know why you're coming here. You think you're going to do the right thing. What you don't realize is that if you do this, you are no better than I am. Think on that before you act. I will say no more.
I also tried to mind control her, thinking it could be like the other ghost, but nope, we only have the option to laser blade her, which I have to hand it to this weapon was kind of satisfying.
Acknowledged. Go to hell.
So I guess Nova knows she probably shouldn't have killed General Davis, and we get this scene where Rigel tries talking with her while she's attempting to escape.
I know you're there, Nova. This is the only life I have left. The same as you.
Why are you telling me this?
The crew is loyal to you alone, Nova. We will go wherever you lead.
The Dominion's always going to have problems. They'll need us to solve them. Our own way.
Tensions have subsided in the Dominion after Emperor Valerian regained control of the government and released all of the related evidence in a public report. Our polls show that most people feel the Emperor was justified in using lethal force against General Davis, given the danger she presented.
Damn, that look on Valerian's face. He hates the fact that Nova did that, but also that his populace actually likes him more, thinking that he was the one that executed her. Like, good God, folks, the man is a statesman and all the good and bad that comes with it. Also, this last scene made my head hurt since I knew that I had heard those words before.
Let her go. For now.
And it's literally the ending of Pirates of the Caribbean, where the British Admiral lets Jack Sparrow leave with Keira Knightley, and they're like, "Oh, Gov, what you doing? What do we get in the scallywag?" And the Admiral is like, "We'll give him a 3-day head start." Like, what? I know it sets up Nova Adventures of the Third Kind, which I would love to see, don't get me wrong, but I would be freaking angry if I truly tried to get this General Davis a trial and exhibit evidence of her wrongdoing, then have my top assassin laser blade her because she thought it was the best choice. Well, maybe Valerian wants to end the vendetta of trying to off-Dominion ghosts, since that's something his father also tried to do, and it failed incredibly for him. And then we get this. A thank you from the dev team, and I have to say this made me feel better about the series. I'm going to Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, the epilogue from Legacy though. Good luck and have fun was my personal motto going into this series retrospective. I cannot express how much joy I got out of playing all these games. Starcraft deserves a new chapter, a new entity, a new beginning. It is doable. There's so much that can be tapped for ideas, and Covert Ops shows that. Hell, these were some of the best missions I've ever played in a Starcraft game, and I truly appreciate the people that commented about it, since I was probably not going to pick this one up. Even though this ending doesn't address many of the other questions I had, it does open up the possibility of more to come. Yes, I'm saying that almost 9 years after this was released. But after enjoying Covert Ops so much, I'm going to keep it in my heart of hopes, alongside Half-Life 3, yet that one is withered and almost dead. Thanks for taking the time to watch. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the game, the series itself, and what you'd like to see in the future from this universe. For the people that have been here since the first retrospective, Intaro Dune, Intaro Tassadar, and Intaro till next time.